Hey yo, what's up? Anyway, check it out. Today, what I want to talk to y'all about, you know what I'm saying? I really don't have nothing to talk about, but you know what I mean? But one of the main points I want to talk about is, you know what I'm saying, something that's really important is that multiple streams of income. You know, you might have a job or something and doing an entertainment business on your own time. You might be, you know what I mean, got your own life going on. You know what I'm saying? Just don't forget, like, when you hustling, just don't forget that you gotta understand that when you be doing business, you gotta understand like the whole mechanics of everything, you know. And you know, I know my thoughts and stuff be like all over the place, and you be wondering how you get it all set up and stuff. But you gotta realize that you do gotta understand people. You gotta understand people. You know, people gonna be people, and you really can't fault them for being people. You gotta let them know, you know, hey, we're in this together. We're working to a common, you know, to a common point. And when you're not speaking and conveying these things, this is for the people that, you know, that you want to work around like more than 1 or 2 days, you know. Your relationships can be strained. You got to be into the mode, to the ability to forgive. You know, you got to be able to, you know what I'm saying, innovate, come up with new ideas. You got to be able to do these things. So just understand that. And like, for furthermore, like when you're dealing with these people, you got to make sure that y'all all have a common goal in mind, and you got to let people know often what that common goal is. You got to let them know, or it ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, it's just, I just see a repetition of people being like, I see a repetition of people that's just like nobody's explaining nothing to each other, and they kind of just be in the habit of letting others be. You know, you know what I'm saying? You gotta keep that common goal understood. You know, when you're working with people, you know, in entertainment business, you know, you CEOs, your employees, you got to keep them, you know what I'm saying, understanding that common point. You know, too long do I see people just, I don't understand why people just, I'm not saying people like everybody, I'm saying like, you know, people have a habit of, some people, and when I say people, I'm not trying to point out no person directly, but when you have lack of understanding, you know, desire without understanding is not good. You can have a desire, but if you're not understanding that desire, you know, if you don't have an end result, you know, that passion, you know, it's easy to trick yourself into putting together a plan, and once you achieve those goals, you can fall out of love with it. And falling out of love, losing your motivation, is still bad. It's still bad. So you really can't do that. So just stay focused on what it is that you're trying to do, and do your best to keep the others around you focused on what to do, because there are people that, you know, and you know, and I can understand like people that want to help others but kind of don't help someone to your own demise. You know, a lot of this stuff in this game is, you know, you could classify it as a double-edged sword. You know, there are people out there that fake helplessness. There are people out there that fake, you know, different situations in their lives as a part of a con for you to help them and take your, and they'll try to take your energy from you. You know, they'll, hey, help me, and then you helping them, and some people could pull you down from they'll take the good side of you, and you know, because at all times, you know, you got to have a mentality where, like, no matter what happens, I'm gonna be happy. No matter what happens, I'm you know what I'm saying, stay focused on business. And if you do get hurt, if you do find yourself in a position where you were played, you gotta come back from it. You gotta come back from it. And believe me, they gonna try. So, you know what I'm saying? So, you believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. And you let them haters know nothing. Don't let them know nothing. Because once they see what your plans are, they gonna try to take whatever they can. And I'm sorry, you know, when your stomach hurting and you need food, you know, people will come up with some pretty evil ways to undo you. So whatever you do not let that happen. Do not let that happen under no circumstance. You know what I'm saying? So, like I was saying, just remember what I told you, and do your best to like take care of business. You know, and when I was talking in the last video about the fish tank and the growth of how fish grow to the size of their environments, you know, the big tank, fish will grow big. Ocean, fish will grow huge. As a, you know, as a way, and some of it happens for way of to suit the environment. So the little boat, and you know, so like that, you know, you got to be careful that some people, if you'll get in your situation, they'll grow to your situation. And you know, and you got to be able to realize that, you know, instead of using your YouTube, your Netflix, you know, the tools that you have available to you, you might have whatever you got going on, but if you got YouTube and Netflix, you know, you got to go, instead of using those outlets for, you know, entertainment, you got to turn those things into tools to study and grow. You know, if you're a filmmaker, you know, you look at it, you know, this whole system now is designed by algorithms and analytics and information. You know, if you look at like your Netflix and you watch certain movies, you know, they'll have more movies that kind of follow, you know, the storyline of what you previously watched. So, you know, it's a constant study of information, you know. And, you know, like Netflix came and took over Blockbuster. Netflix went to Blockbuster and was like, hey, we call ourselves Netflix, and what I want to do is I want to take Netflix and I want to use all your connections so we could, you know, grow our business, but under the Blockbuster name. Blockbuster said no, fuck you. So Netflix went and put them out of business. You don't see Blockbuster no more, because they weren't open to the interaction with the future. So Netflix knocked them out of pocket, bankrupt them. People wasn't even going renting DVDs from Blockbuster no more. So, you know, so yo, you gotta understand how this stuff be working, you know, because this game, people gonna make money. It's just whether you know it or not. You know, and when you make money, You take your money is basically like your principal. You know, we're so accustomed to paying everybody else. You know, you take your principal, you're supposed to take your principal, what you make, put it on there, and like start developing multiple streams of income. You got to develop multiple streams of income from your principal money. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, if you look at it like banks and stuff, you know, banks, you go put your money in the bank, and what they do is if you put your money in a savings account, they take your money and give it to other people and charge them interest on top of your money. They keep the interest and they give you your principal back. So what you got to do is you know what I'm saying, a lot of people's minds are backwards. So what you got to do is take your mind, your brain, and you got to turn it around. And you take your principal and just emulate all these different things. I'm not saying be a loan shark, loan money, charge interest. I'm not saying all that. But I'm saying, like, and then in the entertainment business, you know, entertainment business just don't stop with a club show, you know, merchandise, selling t-shirts, you know, getting a shoe deal, an alcohol deal. You know what I'm saying? I seen Dame Dash, you know, sell cookies. His son was selling cookies. Cookies is a food, but it's a form of entertainment. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, and if you open up a business, you know, I seen like a strip club where they have a limo, the limousine. People pay extra money to use the limousine service. We got a party of 15, 20 people. Limousine, party bus. Yo, you put your money into a party bus, and then people, parties, book, you know what I'm saying, $500. You know what I'm saying? We go to war. Guns, cars, you know, defense. That's war. That's an avenue of, but no, war is terrible. But, you know, more entertainment revenues. You got to start developing those. You know, people make the people make the principle, and it's like everybody eat off of that, and then it disappear. You have no money, and you got employees. You know what I'm saying? You set yourself up. So what you got to do is take your principle and put it up here. You say, don't look to me to eat off of this. Give me an idea. Your innovation department, your creative director. You know what I'm saying? And to facilitate this, you're going to need motivation. And if you're a boss, you're going to have to be the source of the motivation to be creative, to develop these types of things. You know what I'm saying? Too many artists start hanging around each other. Somebody who get mad about this. You know, I think Drake and Meek Mills was pretty cool. I think personally, outside of all the beef, you know, I think they really was cool with each other. You know what I'm saying? And like that. And even, you know, I like 40 Glock. I like Game. But Game was messing with Lil Wayne, and Game went and jumped on 40 Glock. And then Lil Wayne and Game came out with a song. We're having a celebration. And Chris Brown sung the hook. You see what I'm saying? So them politics, you know what I'm saying, it's all, you know what I'm saying, you got to put together your business plan. And you got to make sure, and you know, the entertainment stocks, you know, your GoPro, you know, they just came out with a virtual reality camera. You have to pay like $5,000 for the camera, but it's still a virtual reality camera. You know, you got, you know what I'm saying, even the alcohol. You might not be able to invest in and open up your own brand, but you could take your money and put it into a alcohol. You know, there's a parent company that distributes this stuff. So you're pretty much rising above, and you put your money there. Whoever they do a deal with, you get a piece of the profit. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to go into every game. You know what I mean? And, you know, like Martin Shkreli, the dude who bought the Wu-Tang Clan one album for like $1 million, what he did was he went into the company that made the HIV AIDS medication or something, and he bought the stock. So he bought like a majority of the company. He bought a majority of the company, and then he raised the price of HIV medication to like $900 per one pill or something. I don't know if it was per one pill, but he like raised the price, and you know, so when he raised the price to that AIDS HIV medication, a lot of complaints went to the government, and then the government hit him and said, yo, we shaking you down. If we see you run a red light, people dying because you greedy. So that's why the feds came in and took him. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not saying buy a company and raise the price on people that need your product, but I'm saying that, you know what I'm saying, you gotta elevate your minds to be in the entertainment business. You know, you got your cameras, your alcohol, Nike. You could go make your own shoe, but you could invest in Nike stock and get, you know what I'm saying, price go up, sell, you got a profit. Because people say, I make the money, look at me. And you're going to open yourself up for war. You're going to open yourself up for war. So stop that. You get your principle. Hey, y'all come up with some ideas to get rich. We go broke. I got to let you go. I can't deal with you. No. And save yourself some trouble. So that's the thought for today. Like my page, subscribe, pay the $1.99 for this valuable information, and good luck in your mission. Make your music, make your clothes, and good luck with that.